If someone grabs the phone out of your hand and legs it, what chance is there that the oik who did it actually gets caught? Turns out, almost none. The think tank Policy Exchange has found that in London, just 1 in 170 phone snatchings were solved by police last year. Just 1 in 20 muggings are cleared up. David Spencer is Head of Crime and Justice at the Policy Exchange. Morning, David.
Good morning.
I'm wondering if I'm surprised by this. I feel like phone theft particularly is one of those sort of almost decriminalised things now the data seems to back it up.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assessment, actually. So we've looked at various bits of data in this analysis, and knife crime in the capital is up about 86% over the last decade. And last year there were 16,000 offences, which is the highest on record. And about 60% of all knife crime in London is robberies. And a substantial number of those crimes, it's a mobile phone that's targeted. And last year in London, we saw 81,000 mobile phones stolen by means of robbery, or what's called theft person, which is like the sort of thing you described, someone snatching the phone out of your hand. And a vanishingly small number of them are solved by police. So I think describing it as decriminalised is not a bad description in terms of the state of where we are at the moment in the capital.
Yeah. When we say they're not solved by police, are police making any moves towards investigating and trying to make progress on catching the crims?
Well, I think it would be unfair to say they're not making any progress. And certainly one of the areas that we look at in today's report is their use of live facial recognition system, which actually, the Met in London has been one of the sort of forerunners for this technology. They've done a lot of work to try and make sure it's used in the most ethical way possible. And over the last couple of years, they've managed to arrest, I think it's 1,045 criminals or criminal suspects over that time. And some of them for sexual offences, violent offences, robberies. So it is a technology which the Met has led on, and, they should be given a lot of credit for that. Yeah. There are other areas which are less successful. So, for example, we've seen in the capital stop and search fall hugely over the last few years. So it's gone from over 300,000 searches to it's fallen by about 175,000 to only 130,000 last year. So what we're seeing is that there is a massive decrease in stop and search, which we know is one of the police tactics which is most effective at reducing knife crime.
Just a final one for you, David. In terms of the tactics, actually, I remember one of my friends once suggesting, in fact, probably around this time last year, when the so-called swift justice was dished out when the riots were happening around England last summer, the suggestion was that actually if you publicised the fact that you were catching phone thieves and you sort of plastered their pictures all over the place and said, look, this guy's just got 12 months for nicking a phone, that actually that idea, that publicising the effectiveness of strategies would in itself be a strategy. Do you agree with that? Could something like that work in these sorts of instances?
I've not seen the evidence for it, but it sounds like the sort of thing that could work. Big problem that we have at the moment is the delays in the criminal justice system. We're now seeing cases being listed for trial in 2029. And even when the most prolific offenders go to court and are convicted, then actually we find in the majority of cases, they don't get a prison sentence. So you can be convicted of 45 previous convictions. And on number 46, you would surely expect that person would go to prison. That's not the case.
Yeah, which is a real issue in and of itself. David, really interesting. Thank you. David Spencer, Head of Crime and Justice at the Policy